Greetings, beloveds across the planet. Thank you so much for tuning in to Heart on Radio. This is your host, Shauna Ava, and today I would like to welcome a very special guest. I have Amalia Camateros here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, absolutely. Now, before we even get started, I love to start with 3 breaths, so I invite everyone to join us now in that union. And Amalia here just to get centered and grounded and focused, and then dive into a really awesome conversation about grounding and centering. So breaths are a great way to start that. All right. Lovely. There's such a shift when you take that moment to do that. Absolutely. Yes. So thank you all for always joining me in those 3 breaths, and for Amalia being here today. You really have a vast background in the story of ascension and spirituality and consciousness, and really Father, Son, and Mother Earth, and how we all sort of play in this perfect rhythm together. So I know you're a shamanic practitioner, a naturopathic doctor. You have a lot to your resume, and you also do ecstatic dance, which is something I want to get into because that makes me ecstatic just saying it. And I've been lucky enough to share some dance moments with you as well. But let us start from the beginning for you. So if you would just introduce a bit about how your story began, and it seemed like it started even in your teenage years, but how your spiritual awakening first started happening for you, and then how that led to the work that you do today.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so, I know this is going to sound a bit cliche, but I've always had that spiritual connection. Mm-hmm. It's just been who I am. I guess that I've worked on many lifetimes and many times around and perfecting that. So I remember when I was 5 years old, I was a counselor to my family. Oh. I was a counselor. I was a massage therapist at 3 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I was a counselor to my mother and my sister, and I was a psychologist already working it all out and understanding this and understanding that and having huge compassion for things that other family members would have had great judgment about.
Right.
So that's how it started, and a lot of us have that. We're naturally spiritual. We're naturally, spirit with a body.
Yes.
But so, as I grew and developed this kind of arena where I had to survive in my family dynamics, which was Greek from Egypt. So you can imagine.
But you were growing up in Australia, correct?
I was born and raised in Australia. My parents are Greek, born in Egypt. So I had that Greek Egyptian strict patriarchal energy that I had to deal with constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm like a spirited woman, with a lot of passion and fire. So I had to come in strong and to hold my own ground. Mm-hmm. But really, I started my spiritual journey when I was 16. I started meditating at the age of 16.
So, at 16, wow. Yeah. Was that something that did you come upon a book, or it just became intuitive to you?
Yeah, it just became intuitive to me. I just was always involved in this kind of thing,
Yeah.
I was pretty psychic as a child. I would see things in the middle of the night. Children do this sort of stuff.
Yes.
But that's how it developed at 16. And then by the time I was 18, I fled from home and went traveling around. Actually, I ran away from home, which is pretty bold for a Greek Egyptian girl. I got to tell you that now. But I did do that for my own sake of survival.
Wow.
And I started yoga when I was 17, meditating 16, yoga 17. I was celibate at the age of 18.
Wow.
Just holding that space. I've always been a bit of a priestess that way. I've always been aligned to that priestess energy where, the alignment of God and spirit and love and meditation and all this sort of stuff. So I traveled around Australia, and I ended up living with some Aboriginals in Australia, in Broome, which is the northwestern side.
Okay.
And, just nature was one of my doorways. Mother Nature was always my arena for connecting into who I was. Because being raised in my big fat Greek wedding energy constantly.
Yes.
We'd go off to little picnics in the, afternoons, and I'd slip away from what I thought everyone was yelling at each other, but they weren't. It's just Greek.
No, that's just how you communicate. It sounds like a yell, right?
Exactly. So I would slip away and no one would even notice, and I would just go and be with nature. And I remember actually going into the water and taking my breath out and then sinking to the bottom of the ocean, holding my breath and experiencing the oneness and the nothingness. Yeah, I had lots of experiences like that that's naturally shamanic. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I didn't learn, I didn't read books about it. It was just me.
Right.
And, of course of that, I've always looked at it a bit different in the family. So that made it even more strange. I was the black sheep of the family.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is really what I call the white sheep of the family.
Yes. Amen. Here. I like that. Trademark that one. It's true.
Exactly, yeah. And so, I had my first samadhi experience when I was 5. And I will probably explain this later how that happened.
Yes, I'd love to hear that.
And that taught me about the centering and the oneness at an early age. And I would definitely say samadhi, which is that all-pervasive light that has no conscious awareness that I'm doing this. It's just happening,
Yes.
Anyway, just carrying forward now, when I was 18 and experienced the beauty of nature, when I came back to my family, back around Australia, back home again, I decided to become a naturopathic doctor.
Wow.
Because that's the way I could help people connect with their body, their spirit, with something greater than their own ego self or their own little personal self.
Right.
With nature.
Yes.
That's like the church.
Absolutely.
And so that's the beginning of the healing career. And to come now to where I am more of a shamanic practitioner.
Yes.
When I was probably around 28, 30, something like this, it could have been 35, something like that. I was married at the time, and I had graduated from naturopathic school. And I loved rocks. I always loved rocks.
Wow.
I'd even made a medicine wheel in the back of our land. And I would, have priestess ceremonies and in the rocks there, and amazing ceremonies that were kind of uniquely designed each time we got together. And I would sit out there because at a young age, being a naturopath, being a wife, talking to bank managers, treating people, having 14 practitioners in a clinic at a young age. I don't think I might have been 30.
Oh my gosh.
It was a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And my marriage was on the rocks constantly, like from the very word go. Only because, there were dynamics there that were young, we're trying to navigate through.
Yes.
And I would sit in the circle and just learnt how to do nothing. I learnt already practicing a lot of meditation and doing several, like 10 Vipassana meditation retreats. I've always been that kind of girl, I would sit in the stone circle and just learnt how to do nothing. I learnt how to be in my full awareness because I just couldn't afford to jam anything else in my brain. So I learnt how to empty out and just become.
Yeah.
And in that particular time where I was in that emptiness and oneness at the same time, the nothingness and everythingness at the same time, I heard a word from my inner being say Sedona.
Oh.
And in that word, my whole spine clicked 3 times, like a safe had opened up.
Oh my gosh.
And I heard this click and my hands opened up and I felt this Sedona thing. I didn't know what Sedona was.
No kidding.
No, coming into my hands, and I knew the word downloading, but that was before we even had computers.
Yeah.
So I just knew the word downloading. This is a download, but I didn't know. We didn't have computers back then, so I can tell my age now. Anyway, so, and then I just felt this peace and this complete fullness, this full peace and wonder about what this Sedona thing was. And then from that, the next day, I had a vision and a dream, and then someone would come and visit and throw me a book about Sedona, and I had 2 years of these incredible machine gun experiences that were completely always firing at me.
Spirit just sort of yelling.
Completely. People laugh at me when they read my book, like, didn't you get it from the first? Didn't you get it there first once in the circle? No, I didn't. Because I had a big life in Australia.
Right.
And I had a marriage, and I was working for INXS, the band. Remember that band INXS?
Oh my gosh,
So we had a big life.
Yes.
And now this spirit is calling me to come here to Sedona.
leave everything and
leave
go to the
everything
rocks.
I know to come and do this earth assignment that I had started in ancient days, which was to retrieve the wisdom in the stones, retrieve the wisdom with Mother Earth, to bring that wisdom to the people.
Oh,
so that's my little story.
That is,
right there,
I love that
encapsulated.
story. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I came here and wrote the book and I don't want to say download, but retrieved the wisdom in the stones. Because they're like crystals.
Yeah.
You know, the stones can be like libraries. They hold the DNA. They hold the spirit of place.
Yes.
And so they hold the wisdom of Mother Earth.
Exactly.
And I was able to listen to that and learn how to listen to that and become a secretary for the earth. And
I love how you word that too, a secretary for the earth. You know, it's truly. And so what did that look like? You arrived here and then it sounded like you were called to just spend that time with the rocks.
Well, you know, the thing is that I learned that in the past life, I believe in past lives. I believe in having, multiple shots at, it's like a school. You don't have a one-shot affair at a class.
Right.
Pass that class, you go to the next one, and then you go, then you master. You master something. So that's how it is for me. And what were we saying?
Oh, we were talking about how the downloads for the books came, and it was.
And so, just learning that I was one of those Anasazi, which is really a whole peoples here. They called them the ancient ones that were here long ago, and they just disappeared. Some people say they ascended. Yeah. They mass ascended because there was proof of them being here.
Wow.
But there was nothing left of their bones or anything. So no one still to this day knows what happened to them.
Right.
And so apparently from all the unfoldings and the teachers that I'd studied with told me that I was an Anasazi, and it felt right. Oh. And the Anasazis began from the South Americas. And joined in with the Mayans, and then came and pilgrimaged all the way to the Hopi Indians. Okay. So they're like the mix between the Mayans and the Hopi Indians.
Wow.
And they're called the Anasazis. Also known as the Hitsatsinons. Oh. The royal ones.
Oh, wow.
And so what it looks like now was I actually started... I left Australia and then I went to Hawaii for 6 months to unravel my marriage because I really wanted to do this job properly. I just didn't want to jump to Sedona and go, oh, here I am, let's just do this. Yeah. I really felt it was important to undo my 15 years of marriage and really unravel to my authentic self so I could do this job properly. Yes. Because it was like an earth assignment that I'd started in ancient days and I want to complete it properly. Right. So I started in Mexico. I went to Hawaii for 6 months and unraveled and cried for 6 months.
Wow. That's a great place to do it.
A lot of rain there. So I was like, lying there on the ground with all the rain coming over and just washing and melting away the pain and the separation of 15 years. And then I went to Mexico, just like the Anasazis did. Wow. And then started to retrieve the wisdom from the stones and the temples there. Oh, wow. And then I came to Sedona and retrieved the wisdom from the stones that are not temples, but natural temples. Okay. And so how it would look I would go out to the land and say, okay. And that's how I became a shamanic. I just had to listen. I had to trust that part. Yes. Spirit took me all this way and gave me 2 years of non-stop, this way. And I'm like, no, yes, this way. And so I had to trust, like, okay. And something major happened that I tested spirit so much. No one, so badly. I was so arrogant with spirit, to test spirit.
Thank you for sharing that, though, because I think we all have those moments where we're like...
so arrogant. You want to tell, this is real, you better bring me now. And things like that. So when it did, I just surrendered. Right. So I had to go with it. And when I'd come to the stones here in Sedona, for example, I would just say, okay, where do you want me? And I would learn how to open my shamanic ears up and my shamanic eyes and trust. I had to trust. I could not second guess anymore. So I did that for 2 years. And then I would go, boom. And I would go there and something magical would happen. Wow. And what I would do is I would just open myself up and be open and present. Like the same thing when I was in that stone circle. Open and present. And then introduce myself to the stones. My name's Amalia. I've come to retrieve the wisdom. If you would have me, if you trust me and would have me, I would love to take this information and share it with the people. You see. So I learned how to do all the ceremonies directly with the earth. People say, how did you become a shaman? Which I would not call myself that. I would say I'm a shamanic practitioner.
Right.
How would you become that? Well, who was your teacher? And I would say the best teacher of all. Who's that? Mother Earth,
yes.
And the sky. I mean, isn't that where the shamans originally got it from? Hello.
Right.
Do I have to go to a school to learn shamanism? And that's what I like to teach other people. They can connect into their natural, authentic self.
Yes.
And so then I would just hear the words, close my eyes and just write. And that's how I would do it.
Wow. I appreciate that so much because, again, you don't need the certain classes or watch all the videos or whatever. It's great to have opinions of what other people are working on, how they maybe, walked into their consciousness. But otherwise, just like you say, going out on the land and sitting quietly with yourself, that is the best teacher and guide. And your higher self can be your teacher in that way. So that's spectacular. So obviously, you then spend... I'm assuming you spend quite a bit of time outside. Is this something you do each day? Because here's the deal. We all live, we're very lucky to be living in Sedona, but I really feel for those who live in bigger cities. Mm-hmm. How are we able to, what information can we impart on them to
tap in.
Right, to tap in. Precisely.
Yeah. Well, number one, I don't do that every day now. I used to do that with going out to retrieve the wisdom from the stones that way. But now, after sessions that I give, for example, I will go out and take my bare feet on the earth and ground my energy, put my roots down and connect with Mother Earth. Because for me, Mother Earth is the one, she's the power point.
Yeah.
Mother Earth is the power point from which we can plug in and draw energy. Draw nourishment, draw the love from this greater mother.
Yes.
And so instead of being tangled up in our head and, the head says yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad, dark, light. That's the nature of the brain. That is the nature of the duality of the brain.
Yeah.
But there is something greater than that. And that is the brain of the earth, the knowingness, the wisdom of the earth. And if we can tap into that, and put our roots down, put our feet on the ground. And if you're even concrete's made out of natural stuff.
True.
Natural elements, minerals.
Yes.
So it's all natural.
Right.
I don't think you can have anything here on the planet that's not natural because it's made up of the minerals and of the natural earth. Even though, of course, I will espouse to natural food, fresh air, the best water, of course. But you can still tap into those energies in a concrete jungle.
Okay.
And, of course, when we're busy, some people live in high-rise flats. I have clients from New York City that don't have greens to go to on a daily basis. But the spirit of life is always there.
Yeah.
And the antenna of our own being is always connected to the earth and the heavens. That's our antenna.
Yes.
And if we can learn to come back into that channel or that canal of energy, that antenna of energy, then we can draw everything back in and down. Because anything away from the head.
Right.
Away from the head. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what I really love to say is bring your energy in and down.
Yes.
And that's a safe place. That's a grounded place.
Right. So you could essentially, you could be in your high rise, wherever, say, get your bare feet out on the ground, feel your feet, ground your energy down, and then close your eyes and envision that time that you were standing right on the beach or on the rocks.
Not even that really. It's just the intention of grounding your energy.
Right.
It really is, And you can be in a high rise. I grounded my energy on a plane once. It was difficult. But I did do it. It was difficult, but I did do it.
Okay.
But you don't have to visualize being on the beach or anything. You can just send your energy down to the earth. And you've got trees that have roots that come from the branches all the way. They're not even touching the ground. You know what I mean? There's still roots coming out of those branches, or there may not be the roots not touching the ground, but they're reaching to touch the ground. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's really a matter of grounding's not just alone. You have to be on the earth. Of course it's helpful.
Right.
Of course it would be an instantaneous way of grounding your energy.
Right.
It's more about grounding your mind. Not getting knocked around like a pinball machine, because that's a waste of that's too much energy wasted.
Absolutely.
We're not we're not balls in the pinball machine.
Yeah. And I love
we're born of the earth and the sky.
Exactly. I I love how you seem to liken us to trees and plants.
Yes,
and I really loved that. And what's interesting too is last episode, I interviewed someone on past lives, and the card that came up then was trees. So it was taking note of this collective consciousness, because I always pull for the collective, for us to really remember the trees. And I find it so entertaining that now you're on this weekend where trees are so much a part of what you were speaking about.
Yes.
And it really touched me, and it's something that I have just been noticing lately myself, is the trees and how similar we really are to them, and even down to their vines. To me, remind me so much of blood vessels. I mean, they look so similar. If you watch the way the vines go out, they're like blood vessels. But I would love for you to just touch on your perspective about that a bit more, because it's so delicious to listen to.
Yes, well, let's face it. A tree has its roots in the ground. I mean, first of all, the seed is planted into the soil. And I relate the soil of the earth as soil of consciousness. That's how I look at it.
Yes.
We can plant our intention into the soil of consciousness, into the ground of being. And then that seed needs to get pushed into the darkness. It's not out there, look at that. It's pushing it in. It's allowing it to go into some, like a petri dish or the soil. And from there, that seed, that intention, the roots sprout. But like a tree, for example, I mean, not like a tree has, the only way a tree can exist is by having its roots in the ground.
Yes.
The deeper the roots, the grander the flowering. I remember walking here at Chimney Rock, which is the next day after I had that download in the circle, when I heard the word Sedona, I had a dream of climbing a zigzag staircase the next night. I didn't know what Sedona was. I thought Sedona was a woman, which it is.
It is. It's named after her, right?
Place,
right? Yeah.
And I was climbing this staircase, and I see these big red rocks. And in the dream, I'm saying, this is Sedona. I'm in Sedona. And this happened to me every day, something like this. Like every 2 days, something major like this would happen. And so Chimney Rock here is my landing place. It's the rock that called me.
Yeah.
And that's the one I saw. So I would go there regularly, and I was walking around, and I was saying to Spirit and Mother Earth, why do I have to feel so much? Why do I have to feel so much? A lot of other people don't seem like they're connected to their feelings. Why do I? And I stopped, and I grounded my energy, and I heard the voice, the inner voice. You don't hear it from the outside, but there's this wisdom that comes up and said, the deeper the roots, the grander the flowering. Right? So the deeper the roots of a tree, the more stronger the trunk is, the more the branches can hold the fruit of its being. And I see this as us as well. Like when we can put our roots down and connect to something greater than our own self, connect to the power point of the earth, where that energy comes from.
Yes.
Right? Then we can draw up through our roots into this strong trunk, which is thought to do with our second chakra,
right?
The energy centers, and the solar plexus, and the heart, and this whole trunk area needs to stand up straight and tall. For the energy already up the chakra system needs to be nice and straight and tall. So we pull that energy out from the earth, and then we can open our branches, which is really coming up out of our heart, right? The arms are coming up out of our heart. And whatever we've come here for, to be of service or to fruit, each person I feel has their own fruit to give, to bear, to give. Then the more grounded we are, the more roots we have connected to the ground, the more natural energy we have to draw up and fruit.
Right.
And the stronger the branches, the stronger because of the trunk, because of the roots. Now, if you have a tree that has shallow roots, it's not even going to grow a huge tree. It doesn't have it to give. But let's just say we have seen trees that mightily grow with the shorter roots. They collapse in a wind, in a hurricane, in a storm. And I regard that our storms as human beings and our hurricanes are dealing with human beings, other human beings in relationships, and our money situations, and the politics that we go through. And all this religion, all this stuff that's coming up are like the winds of change that we have to deal with. The hurricanes. And someone might look at you the wrong way, and if you're not grounded, you can be bowled over.
Oh, yes.
And I do this exercise with people. I take people out on the land, and I push them a little bit first without even telling them before the grounding procedure. Procedure sounds like a surgery. Before the grounding exercise, before I ground them.
Right.
Introduce them to the grounding, and they'll fall back. They have no grounding, and after the grounding I do with them, they're like solid rocks. They're like unmovable trees.
Oh,
I promise you.
I
promise you all, this is exactly what happens.
Yes.
And so once they get it, and they know that they've got that feeling of connection to the earth, and that automatically would align them to the sky, because once you're tethered magnetically with the earth, we're upright.
Yes.
We're upright beings. We're antennas of spirit. And then you can, once you draw that energy up like a tree, the same thing with the sunlight. You can draw the sunlight, spirit, all the way down and offer it to the earth. A two-way stream.
Exactly. So it's constantly flowing energy, and you are able to expand more yourself.
That's how I feel about it. That's how I see it. And that's what I teach, and that's what I love to teach, because I experience that myself.
Yeah. No, I feel your passion from it. It's so exciting to be around, and it's so easy. Isn't it funny how it's
natural,
so
it's free.
Easy and natural.
It's actually free.
Right. But the distractions of society have brought us so far away from it.
That's right.
That it's like the simplest thing to sit quietly with nature feels so.
And even if you're not with nature, I just want to stress that.
Yes,
a lot of people
appreciate
listening here who are not in nature,
right?
And they're so busy they don't have time. But once you ground in nature, then you can apply that anywhere you like. You can just roots down, roots down. Yeah. Even by saying roots down, doesn't that already do something?
It feels great just to say that. Yes. Now, I want to also touch a bit on, you in some of your videos had mentioned, and I love this because I'm just starting to
the videos on my website.
Yeah, the videos on your website, which I will have all of those links, so it's very easy for people to find. Absolutely. But you touched on the sort of the night integration, more of those shadowy aspects of ourselves, and I love the way you explain that, because it can be very confusing at first. You hear, what do you mean the shadow? You think you're supposed to be light, lollipops and such. But no, you need you really need to love and accept and transform those shadowier sides. So please.
Yes, the thing is, for me, I see that the reason we're on the planet Earth, this is my belief until something else comes greater, is to love ourselves.
Yes.
And it's not about loving others. And how can you love others fully if you don't love yourself fully? That's it. And it's the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
I think it's the hardest thing to do is to love yourself. We have so much. We're so easy to judge ourselves.
I know.
We're so easy to judge others because we judge ourselves. Now, the more we can love ourselves, the more we can be of service to others. It's easy to love the parts you like about yourself.
Right.
How can you really, how good are you at loving those parts that you feel are unlovable?
Yes.
Because they're the parts of our childhood. They're the wounded child aspect that needed love that never got it.
Right.
We never got that love. So who's going to give it to them? We can. We can only give that to ourselves. We're the only ones in the world, we're the only ones in the universe that possibly know what the kind of love we needed that we didn't get. So give it to yourself. And it's also important because we're made up of light and dark. If we were all light, we wouldn't see each other. In this particular radius or this particular planet or this particular dimension that we're in, we need the dynamism to be able to experience this dynamism of this and you, me and you.
Right.
And so the dynamism is within ourselves as well. We're many multifaceted diamonds. We're not just, a diamond can't be one sheet, plane. There's many facets.
Exactly.
Right? And the light shines on the facet of this time, and the light shines on the facet. And on the other side of the diamond is darkness, because the light's not on that side.
Yes.
So how I see it is, the more we can shine the light back into ourselves and shed the light, focus the light into the darkest corners of our being, the more enlightened we become.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
The more enlightened we become. The ego is all too ready to hide those parts of ourselves we're ashamed of, or those parts of ourselves we don't feel are lovable.
Yeah.
because we had to hide those as children because we just needed love. We wanted love to be accepted. So we weren't allowed to be angry. We weren't allowed to be jealous. We weren't allowed to be blah, 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 because it's not loving. So we better not, no, that's not the way to get love. Yeah. So we learned all these ways, right? But in actual fact, those are the parts that need loving. Right. And I see those parts, those shadow parts, as orphan children. The parts of our will that are lost, they're lost will. And until we bring those back into some home, into the hearth, into the fire of our own being, into the warmth of our own heart, they're going to be longing and pulling on us to come home all the time, like little children who always want attention because you're not giving it.
Yes.
Mommy, mommy, and you don't listen. Mom, mom, and you don't listen. And it becomes louder and louder until there's big havoc that gets wreaked and played.
Right.
And if we had just turned around and said, yes, honey, what do you want? It wouldn't have to be such a big deal.
Yes, hello, fear. You know, how can I help you? You know, how can I ease you?
Yes, and you know what? It's okay for you to be afraid. It's okay for you to be jealous. It's okay, we're humans. But we have to embrace those parts in order to bring them home to some part of love in ourselves so that they can transmute. They transmute really quickly. They just want to be loved like we wanted to be loved as children. Yeah. Right? So they're like orphan children as far as I'm concerned. They're going to bring them back home, bring them home, and embrace all aspects of ourselves as divine and equally valid as each other.
Yeah.
You see? And one more thing about this is huge. I was on my land in Australia. Yeah. You know, as everybody can hear, I have a lot to say.
Subtitles,
I have a lot to say. Because I've studied a lot, and I've watched a lot, and I've looked a lot, and I'm testing a lot. And I was looking out of my window on my land in Australia, and I know there was a palm tree there. We had planted a palm tree there. And it was a big sunny day, and there was a solid palm tree shadow on the ground. Yeah. And I looked at that and went, the greater the source of light, the more the shadow. Oh. And I related that to us, like, wow, the more we focus on the light, the more it's going to cast a shadow. And the more we focus on the light, the denser we are, the more the shadow.
Yes.
So, you know, we might as well invite that light in, and it's going to cast a shadow, so we might as well de-densify by loving the density. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And therefore you're going to have less of a shadow cast.
Yes.
And so, you know, and let's face it, everybody, turn around and see the shadow. You know? have a look at your shadow. Yeah. You know, it's going to follow you everywhere you go around. I know this is a very cliche way of saying it, but the inner shadow, I don't want to make light of this because it is very important, that the inner shadow really is that part of us that's calling for help. Really. Yeah. It's the one that feels lacked, the one that feels victimized, the one that feels like it's never been able to be accepted. That's the shadow. Yeah. You see? Yeah. And even if it's ugly, even if it seems ugly, like nasty person, why are they nasty? Because they've been hurt. Why is an animal growling and fierce? Because it's been abused. So we really need to bring compassion into this now. Number one, compassion for self.
Whew, I just want to amen to that. No, truly, you such a powerful way that you explain that, and it's just so easy to understand. So I appreciate that so much, and I feel that it is so much our work right now is really just this, is such an important jump to this, we'll call it the new earth, the fifth dimension, whatever you want to say. It feels so much like really immersing yourself in this shadow aspects of yourself and loving it so that we can heal.
In order to bring it into the light.
Right, exactly.
Now, this comes to the ascension thing, right?
Okay, yes.
Now, I've studied this 30 years ago. My ex-husband used to call my group the Top Guns. Are the Top Guns meeting today?
The Top Guns. They'd be like Tom Cruise kind of
Top Guns. Yeah. Totally into the whole ascension thing, 30 years ago. Completely,
Wow.
To group, have a group all the time. But anyway, what my feeling about that is that I feel my personal understanding and knowingness for me, and I'm sharing this with everybody now today, is in order to ascend, we really need to fully descend first. And that's the same as Christ and Buddha. They descended. They descended fully. Like Jesus Christ descended fully for 33 years before he made the ascension. Right. Or resurrection, whatever you want to call it. not to make light of it, but fully descend as a human. And same with Buddha, 33, before he ascended. And I feel like it's important. We can't just jump to the top of the mountain. We've got to climb the mountain.
Yes.
We don't just jump to the top of the mountain. Then we wouldn't even know when we fall off how we're going to get back on again.
Right.
To the top.
And you miss all the value of what you learn on your way.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Right?
Very good point, yeah. So for me, it's about fully descending. And what I mean by that is fully embracing the human. Fully embracing that we eat and we S-H-I-T. We eat and shit.
Yes.
We've got to embrace that. We've got to embrace all those lower matrices of the emotions, such as anger and fear and jealousy and lack. We've got to enlighten those. We've got to transmute those.
Right.
How are we going to go take flight somewhere when we've got all this heavy baggage?
Yes.
We've heard this before, this analogy, right? So we really need to lighten up the load. And that means shedding the light back into those areas. And you can't just say, oh, I love my anger. It really is a matter of just not judging them. Really just not judging. See if you can start by not judging them and having some compassion for that little child within you or that wounded aspect of you that is lashing out because it's really damn scared or it's nasty because it's been so neglected. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Let's go to the source of not deal with the symptoms.
Right.
Like what I have to say, like orthodox practitioners, they deal with the symptoms.
Right.
Naturopathic doctors work with the causation. So let's work with the causation, the source of the pain, and bring light into that. That's our ascension.
Yes.
That's what I feel is our ascension.
Yes. So what, in your opinion, then, do you feel this future sort of new earth timeline and more higher version of ourselves is going to really look like?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know, I've been really sort of meditating on that. Like, it's so exciting, but I know it's not going to just jump to rainbows and hearts and
lollipops.
And lollipops. I want a lots of lollipops. Right. But what is that going to look like? Are we going to release this and just have less of those shadowier moments, or you know what?
Yeah, I like that. That's what I would say.
Okay.
I would agree with that. That it's not going. I don't think there's a direct timeline that we jump.
Right.
I think it's happening incrementally.
Right.
With our decisions and how are we responding to things. Now, how we respond to things is how emotionally mature are you?
Yes.
How are you embracing your humanness? Rather than judging this and that and judging that person.
Exactly.
It's happening to us. We see, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're seeing that more and more of us, and more and more of us, and quicker and quicker and quicker, we're starting to quickly have to adjust our attitude quick and smart.
Oh, yes.
If we're going to survive the energy that's happening right now, which is quick and smart, right? So I don't see that, boom, something's going to happen and then two earths happen. I don't see it literally like that. I see it more symbolically, that the more people are working and evolving and transmuting the density, the more they're going to attract others of such like, the more they're going to attract a more beautiful surroundings, because that's the vibration that they're functioning from.
Yes.
That's the new earth. That's how I see it.
So
I don't
more
see
of
that there's going to be a split of two earths and that's the bad one and that's the good one.
I know, right.
I don't see that myself personally.
Right.
I see that it's a natural evolution that's happening, and already, people who are not drug addicts, for example, and I have great respect for everyone's path and what they have to go through. So I'm not judging anybody. In fact, I work in a holistic recovery addiction center. So it's more like if you're working with the poverty streams and the drug streams and stuff, and that's what you're going to attract. You're going to attract other people who have that vibration. But if you're not that and you're working with more of a Christed energy or more of an ascended master energy, then you're going to really attract more of that. That's how life is. It's God is so unconditional. It's unconditional. It's pathetic. It's too unconditional. unconditional. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You want to be nasty? You want to feel judged? Then here's the judgment. You want to feel not good enough? Here, take not good enough. It's so basic. And I think it's important that we start to really gather in and reel in all those parts that we project outwardly and return the light back in. Return that lens, strong beam of light that we have out there too easily. Oh, hear this, and he's the one I love, or she's the one I love. Bring it back in and down. Ground it. And bring it back into the center, which is our heart. And that's something we need to mention too. So that's what I feel about ascension. But I feel like the doorway back to ascension, for me, this is, you're asking me, this is what I believe. I believe that our doorway back to ascension is through our heart. I do. The center of the doorway, the center of the matrix between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. That's the doorway. That's the hub of this ship, of the spaceship that we are. You know what I mean? That's the steering wheel. And the trouble is with that, though, the problem we could say about that is we throughout our life, each and every one of us have put layers upon layers upon layers of shields over our heart because it hurts. It damn well hurts to feel stuff, and we weren't equipped to know how to feel. We weren't equipped to know not to judge. And so we've had one layer. I'm so passionate about this.
I know, I love
another
it.
layer and another layer and another layer, right? And then we've become so disconnected from that central force of energy that we can connect to. And our job, I believe now, is to start way out here and peel one layer off and then the next layer off and come closer, 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 closer. And it's work. And people don't want to do that work. They want to lick their lollipops in the sun.
I love this lollipop thing we've got going on.
Skipping down the road with a little lollipop. And people are eating lollipops around, aren't they? Is there a whole genre of people, young people, that are licking lollipops in the city, aren't they? Doing that?
You know, that I think that is, no, it has something to do with drugs. I found out when they're on ecstasy. I think
that's exactly right.
It's okay.
It's still lollipops. It's still a lollipop in the mouth. It makes it better. Whatever make better.
Right, right.
Make it better.
Yeah.
But we really have to
do the work.
This is the wheat and the chaff. This is the judgment day is every day. I don't believe there's a judgment day that's going to happen. Judgment day is every day.
In every moment.
Separating the wheat from the chaff is every day. Let's not wait for a pie in the sky. Let's do it now, people.
And because of where we are on galactic terms and planetary terms, we have such powerful support at this very moment. So really, if you want to I feel like it's an accelerated, like fast pass we're on right now. So whereas 30 years ago when you were first doing this, the planet wasn't in a place, and the consciousness and socially we weren't in the place we are now. So now we really are supported to do this, and we can do it real fast, like you said.
We have got the support from the other side, or the unseen arena with the Ascended Masters. And the top guns of Archangel Michael and Saint Germain and even Ashtar and the Christ Sananda. There's all these ascended masters, but you're not going anywhere, I don't think, if you don't really allow this shadow to become your fertilizer. Drop your shadows, but you can't drop something you don't have. You can't let go of something you don't have. I can't let go of this pen here if I don't have it in my hand to let go. So you've got to own it first to let go. Otherwise it's not letting go. So let go, own it first, own your misgivings or own the judgments, own the part of you that doesn't like yourself, own it. It's okay with compassion, and then you can let it go. But let it go to the earth. Just like a tree with all those dead leaves, and the earth will recycle it. And let's face it, that shit. Do you mind if I say that?
I love that word.
That shit, right, is our shit. Is our fertilizer for our growth. It is.
Right.
Whether you're throwing it to the earth or not, whether you're allowing it to drop to the earth or not, we get to steep into that shit, and that's our fertilizer for our growth and evolution.
So I want to talk about, because people can say, go into the heart, go into the heart. Well, I'll tell you, I'll just be honest. I have days where it's not that easy to go there, and I can feel myself phoning it in. Oh, I'm in my heart, but I'm really sort of in pain somewhere, or something's releasing, or doesn't feel quite right. What would be your advice there when you are to really move through those moments of discomfort and really coax yourself back into genuinely feeling your heart center again. Right, exactly.
I always come back to this one thing that I call alchemy of the soul. It's, they're just words, but I'm going to tell you what that means to me.
Okay.
I think the quickest way, you can call upon your angel, and you can call upon the ascended masters, and you can ground your energy, and you can pick a card, or you can think a better thought, you can do a lot of these things that are kind of grappling. But what I've experienced, and I resist doing it too sometimes, and then when I do it, it instantaneously leaves.
Oh.
And it's always instantaneous, and everyone who does it will tell you it's instantaneous.
So excited.
Okay. And that is to just really stop. Number one, stop. And feel, where is that discomfort in the body? Not in the mind, in the body. Where is that discomfort?
Okay.
It feels like a tension here, Right here it feels like a tension or a constriction, or I want to kill, or whatever it is, right? And then you just stop and you just be with it without trying to do anything about it.
Wow.
Simple as that. Just be with it.
Wow.
Everything wants to be embraced. Everything wants to be loved. Everything wants to be accepted. That's how I see it. And so just by stopping and giving it a moment without resisting it or grappling is instant transmutation. That's how I've experienced it.
That's
and that's
lovely.
a very high teaching, by the way. That's high.
I love that.
And it's free. It's free, everybody.
Oh, wow. This one's on the house.
So, I remember having this thing that was pulling on me. It was probably a couple of months ago. And another one too, a brilliant one I want to share with you.
Oh, please.
But this last one that happened a couple of months ago. And there's been things in between, of course, but that was a big one. And I wasn't aware that I was kind of fighting with it, like, oh no, I've got to be more positive, oh no, I've got to love myself, and oh no. And then all of a sudden I remember walking into my front door, and I remembered, stop. I remembered it. This thing, I'm going to tell you exactly this thing, this transmutational process. I stopped and I went straight in here, and it's humbling. To stop and goes direct to the pain is a humbling already. There's no room for the ego there. So already that's it. And I just went to this thing and I accepted that's what it was. I accepted it. And it just, boom, disappeared.
Wow.
I swear. And then there was one time, because, being raised in a Greek-Egyptian household, and the women are kind of not regarded, and the men are more looked at as more valuable, and this happens in a lot of cultures, Indians, in India especially.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Even worse than Greece and Egyptian.
Right.
And I remember grappling for a long time, years. I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to give my little adjective. But years and years and years about really not being good enough. Now, let me put a pause on here. As a practitioner, as a therapist, as a psycho-shamanic counselor, I have come through all the years, I've come down to two major fears that people have.
Okay.
Number one, the biggest one, is fear of being not good enough. Number two, fear of being alone. These are the two major fears that drive the ego, and anything to not be alone, anything to not feel good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
We're like drug addicts.
Oh, yeah.
Completely addicted to feeling better.
Yes.
Right? Now, I remember, all my life, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough. This is a tendency for women in any way.
Right,
yes.
I'm not good enough, our culture has supported that, right?
Yeah. Culture, exactly, right? And so then one day I just flopped myself on the couch, and this is true, people. This is what happened, people, right? I flopped myself on the couch and said, I'm not good enough. So what?
I felt that.
So what? I'm not good enough. So, I won't say the word. What?
So
I'm not good enough.
What? Right?
So bleeping what?
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. And I laid there and just went, I'm not good enough.
See, it makes me giggle. It makes me giggle. I tried it on.
I really tried it on. And then I walked around in my life not good enough. And I wasn't walking around like a wilted tree. I wasn't. I was okay with it. I accepted it. And then when I'd come up to people or come up to men or come up to clients or whatever, I just came with that humility. And it was so shifted everything in my life. It shifted everything in my life. It was almost like what you resist persists, what you accept leaves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
it surrenders. What you accept surrenders is the opposite to what you resist persists. And this is true.
This is so important and powerful for right now. I love that story. I'm picturing you like twirling in a dress that says like mediocre. And you're like, I'm just decent, you know, like, and you try it on. And then as soon as you, again, it's like the, you know, the little pestering child, as soon as you just embrace it and then poof.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not talking about the negative ego, like, oh, I'm not good enough, poor me. We've all done that, you know, if only I was. That's a negative ego.
Right.
And I'm not talking the inferior ego.
Okay.
Then we have the superior ego. Oh, I'm fantastic.
Yes.
And my head's even 2 inches higher than me. and then you do, I'm sorry to say, but I'm so sad for all these women on Facebook that have to be divas to feel good enough. I feel compassion. And this is not the way to go.
No.
This is perpetuating the superior ego.
Yes.
And that's even more dangerous than the inferior ego. At least the inferior ego says, I'm not good enough.
Right.
I'm, you know, even though it's pushing themselves in the grave a bit more under the soil.
Right.
I'm not good enough. But the superior ego that I'm more than good enough, I'm better than everybody else. That's now they have to clear that and the inferior ego because that's what's driving the superior ego. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm a little bit of psychology there.
No.
So
I love
you know,
that.
you might as well just take off the mask, be gentle with yourself, have compassion.
Right.
You know.
And not to judge during your journey, during your...
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And Christ was telling us that 2,000 years ago. Hello.
I know.
Hello.
We're still
struggling with it.
Taking us a while, like dial up here. Wow. And the download eventually.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for touching on that, because I feel that it especially now with this big shift, stuff that I thought I had dealt with previously, shadowy stuff. Whoa, it's back again.
Yeah, it's teaching and testing you how you're going to deal with it.
Right.
Because once you deal with it in a way that's not reactive,
yes,
it's not hooking in more of that energy. Done with that.
Right.
Boring. Let's go to the next one.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying?
And I appreciate that so much. It's just to me so relevant for what we're experiencing right now. And I appreciate your candor as well for sharing that you still, you know, you mentioned even just a few months ago having situations like that.
I still do. And I still have thoughts now. It's just how am I dealing with it? Am I going to go down the rabbit hole? Or am I going to see it for what it is? And that does mean taking a step back and observing. That's another very high evolution point. Not about falling into the story. It's about taking a step back and observing and witnessing. And that's already the God space. It's like watching a movie. You know, if you're aware you're watching a movie, you're really watching a movie. But if you've fallen into the movie and are now identifying with the character, you don't even know you're watching a movie. The real power place is to be aware that you're watching a movie. Be aware that you're living a life. You don't have to get caught up so much in your ego story and identify with that character. Keep aligned between earth and sky. Keep aligned in your heart and centered in your heart. Feel the embodiment of you as a spirit in a body, the embodiment of spirit in your being. That's where I feel we're going to really make the change of the ascension.
What can we do to choose a different program for this holiday season? And
I can pull out things that we've heard of before, but I want to be the most simplest possible because I trust what comes up in the moment. Yeah. And that's what I have to now tell you. That's the best way. Yeah. Otherwise I'm going into my head and then I'm
searching
blah, blah,
for something.
Right?
Yeah,
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what came up, and the first thing I would say is really just feel the simplicity of giving and receiving. You know, just be gentle. Just be gentle now. Just be human. Look each other. Be gentle. Be fine and nice with each other. Hello. How are you? Bring the spirit of the jolliness of love and light. And it's very simple what I'm saying. I mean, it's hardly words of ascension. You know. But what I'm really feeling is get into the spirit of Christmas. Use it. Whether you believe it's a real story or not, if Christ is real or not.
Right.
Use the energy that's happening on a collective level and be nice.
Yes.
Give of yourself, even if it's a spirit of the smile, spirit of your heart. Connect more into your heart. Love yourself more, like yourself more. Love yourself more. Be nice to yourself, which means you're going to be nice to others.
And there's a playfulness that you always bring, which I want to bring up because I love that. I feel like you just have such joy and playfulness, and even the way you approach the darkest things. Yes. And so that laughter and that playfulness is just delightful.
It's the wonder.
Yeah.
I call it the wonder. I want to be a Wonder Woman. That's my Wonder Woman.
Oh, I like that.
I don't have to be wearing a cape and fighting demons and being a diva, a demigod to be a Wonder Woman. I can be a Wonder Woman. Being in the wonder of life. That's Wonder Woman.
That is, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I really regard that as high. Be in the wonder of life.
It can be such a nostalgic time and sometimes painful almost because you remember, where is that sparkle of when I was a child and everything was new and fresh and full of wonder, like we're saying.
And so movies. They're always full of spirits. Christmas movies at the moment. I love them.
I know.
Can you believe watching little Christmas movies? Only because I love the spirit of life, and I have great faith in the spirit of heart. And that's what this time of year for me is about. And we could say it's the sun and the Christ of the sun and the old pagan ways, but I just want to keep it simple. And simple to me is standing out in the sun and remembering the light, standing on the earth and being grateful. Think of something grateful. I heard the other day, I don't know where I heard it, but I did hear this, that when you stop and take a moment to be grateful, there's more neurons that light up. There's a special place in the brain that lights up when you're grateful.
Yes.
It heals the brain, heals the neuron system in the brain. Absolutely. When you go to the grateful place.
That gratitude to me is a key right into the heart. That'll bring you to heart too.
Absolutely.
But it for me, a gratitude list. We tend to take so many things for granted, and so that gratitude list that'll bump you up right away.
And compassion. Compassion for me is really big. It really is, and no matter what can come across, we've had this huge thing that just passed Sedona recently, and as much as we might all get upset about it and fearful about it and band together against it, really to keep the compassion of why is that happening?
Yes.
And then that brings a higher viewpoint that really it's not just haphazard. I'm glad I'm not believing that life is chaos and just happens. I've seen molecularly how our thoughts work. I've seen how it works in the field, in the morphogenic field. I've seen literally how one thought can come out and then all the fabric of the universe moves in to make that happen. I've seen it with my own eyes. And
was that in a meditation or?
Years ago I sprained my ankle terribly, like really badly. And I didn't want to, I don't take painkillers or anything, I just ride through it. And I really had to meditate for 6 weeks, basically 3 weeks solidly, lay there and do the healing work from the within place. And lying there for 3 weeks meditating and not doing much, these things would come to me. I saw a thought come out, and I saw how the fabric of the universe, it's invisible, but the fabric of the universe moved in to make that happen. I saw another thought go, and then the whole fabric moved that way, and I saw how that works.
So interesting, yes.
So choose. Do choose a better thought. Do choose a better thought.
Yes.
Make the better thought about yourself first.
Right. And that is you're just getting me so lit up. But that is when I was meditating recently, I had a similar imagery that came to mind where it was that all of us collectively, these powerful thoughts and these positive, loving thoughts are creating like a cellular mucus for the fifth dimension to adhere to.
Right.
So I just love that you said that because it's exactly what I was intuiting and visualizing. It's like, that is what, the more we practice that, the more that this new earth grid can develop to really exist upon.
Absolutely. And it's exponential. I'm sure one person has a lot of that faith or that diligence of that is going to, it ripples out, that exponentially ripples out to a larger group of the collective. So it's not as if everybody has to do it. It's a collective energy from those few people, not few people, but according to the rest of the planet, it will be a few people.
Yeah.
The light workers, we can say.
Okay, so I'm just going to touch on the card that I pulled this episode, which comes from the Mystic Art Medicine deck. And this is from Cher-Lynn. It's so lovely. And I will post on Instagram what this image is, because couldn't you just stare at that forever? Oh my gosh, her work is stunning. But the card that came up this week is Medicine Power. So I'll just read a little blurb here. But everything is alive with spirit and potential medicine. Love is the most powerful medicine. Your medicine power is innately always in you without a talisman. Still, a talisman helps you remember. Wake up, take notice, and watch for omens and signs, for the gifts of medicine power are always available to you. Drawing the medicine power card is not to be taken lightly. Watch for signs. This card signifies an important medicine gift coming your way. In your heart, you have all the medicine power you need to heal your world. And isn't that so aligned?
And it really fits in with that thing, because the light of love is always there.
Yeah.
You can never be robbed of your spirit. No matter how far, because I've seen it. I work at the Sanctuary of Sedona. Clients come in so far removed from what they feel love is. But when you start peeling the layers off, more of that light starts to shine. I say to them, my clients there, that it's like the sun. The sun's always there. It's just the clouds are in front of it. The sun's not there, but it's just the clouds. And we have clouds in front of our heart. The more we just, wave our consciousness in front to clear. The more we clear those clouds, the more that inner radiance of love that's always there and will never, ever, ever be taken away from us can shine.
I love that so much. Now I'm going to ask something just a little out there, simply because you come from a shamanic practitioner background, and your relationship with Mother Earth. I've just always been curious about this plant medicine. Okay, I'm just fascinated about what your personal take might be on the plant medicine.
You mean like ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca, or even marijuana, or just anything that sort of naturally exists out there that people take for, journeys, etc. What's your opinion on?
Let's delineate first of all. Okay. Rather, social just use of escaping, because that's not what I want to answer.
Right, because,
of course there are people who feel they need it because they're in so much pain and they want to feel good.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel good, for heaven's sake. They haven't learned how to feel that natural part of their good. They grapple. They found something that does it for a little while, and then the story goes on.
Yeah.
Okay? Painkillers, drugs. Plant medicines like ayahuasca and peyote, for example, mushrooms. I'm not talking about LSD, and even THC, which is the marijuana. They do carry the medicine in this way. They are a medicine in the way that they can open the back door of the mind. Somehow there's the DMT in those plants connect into the DMT of your own third eye and open up the third eye, which is natural within us. It's not as if, it is opening like the back door of the mind. And you start to, I have experienced ayahuasca twice with a particular master, like a teacher. And I would never ever do it again, because it's very shamanic. It's extremely shamanic. And it really does give you a good slap across the face. And as it slaps you across the face, it points you to the direction of exactly where you were not looking. So it is a medicine in that way.
Wow.
That it will completely demolish your ego. But not everyone's ready for that, because I always say that after these journeys, there's no one there to hold the hand of someone and take them through the process of now looking at that and working with that And that's not, I don't like that part. So, you know, I believe if you're going to do something like that, you better to do it with someone who's really experienced, someone who can hold your hand, someone who can be there have a session or two after it to down gear into your life. Otherwise, boof, you've experienced this thing. If you don't have the equipment or the know-how or the trajectories or the lay of the land in your mind to be able to bring all that you were shown into your daily life, there's another gap. I think that they're valuable, especially for people who maybe are on chemical drugs, you know, to downshift slowly into something more eye-opening about showing them where the shadow is, because it is a very shamanic kind of plant.
So that's what it shows you. It will show you the shadow.
Shows you exactly what you need to know, what you haven't been looking at. So it's very powerful.
So that could be a little scary then.
It's very scary. It's courageous. It's very courageous. It's true, but it's good that way. If you're asking me what these plants do, that's what I experienced, and that's what I see. And sometimes it'll take you into the great realms of incredibleness. And then in your life, how you can deal with that is remembering that there's something greater. So they are valuable, but not to be used constantly as an escape, to be used as a medicine perhaps once every 4 or 5 months.
I appreciate that. It's sort of a taboo topic, but I felt comfortable.
I'm fine with it.
You seem very comfortable talking about most anything.
I would ask, if anyone asked me anything, I would talk about it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Give what I know.
So thank you for that. Okay, so before we wrap it up here, I also want to touch on your dance background and this ecstatic dance that you do.
Well, the thing is, number one, my parents were dancers too. Yes, we used to go to parties and they would do all this major rock and roll and full on swinging the parents, my mother around.
Oh, like swing dance.
Swing dance, rock and roll dance. They'd have parties where there was always dancing, and then my mother was an Egyptian belly dancer. She used to do the full on Shakti belly dancing stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So it is in my field. And I always, this is the embodiment part. I think it's important that we have an avenue where we can get into the body. Like you and I know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Zumba class.
Exactly.
It's powerful. Moving the energy. All about moving the energy. You have to move the energy.
Yeah.
When you look at the rivers in the earth, they're not moving, they're poisonous. Like bacteria, and it's the same with us. Collect the debris of our own mind, and we end up stewing in this soup of our own minds. It's not moving.
That's what I find with anxiety. When you're feeling a sense of anxiety, most of the time, that's usually you're not creating an outlet.
An outlet to move the energy.
To move some energy that's in.
Yes. Move the energy, move the energy, move the energy. And so for me, dance has always been, and I will say that it's a way of really connecting into a higher spirit, like the higher place of freedom, which I would say is spirit, freedom of spirit, and being able to connect into it, to embody it through the movement. So when you dance from that higher place, you're not dancing of, how do I look? Oh, do I look hot and sexy? Or do I look...
This is not a music video.
I'm not into the divas thing. I'm here into the divine feminine, here for the goddess mother and the divine father and the realness of who we are. I am not into this, how do I look with the powdered lips? It's a waste of time, and it's further away from who you can be, and it's dangerous.
Precisely.
I find it dangerous.
Girl.
And we all get lost on Facebook, and that's why I don't ever pose like this on Facebook. I just be a natural smile, and I always acknowledge the women, the beauty when they're natural. I'll never acknowledge someone who's pouting their lips and doing this sort of selfie.
And the duck face.
No. And so really dancing from the place of connecting from the higher aspect of yourself, or tethering yourself to a prayer dance. Like if you have something you want to release, for example, dance that release. If you're angry, dance the anger. If you're sad, dance the sad. That's another way of embodying your feelings and letting them go. And if you dance from that higher aspect of yourself and feel the ecstasy of that energy moving through your body, that's going to heal your body.
Absolutely.
That heals your body. And you pick the right music. It's important. Ecstatic dance picks whoever's holding that particular facilitation of that dance is going to pick the right music, or choose the right music that's going to bring the wave of starting slow and then coming up to a peak and then landing you down again. Whether it's ecstatic dance, which we have Ecstatic Dance Sedona here. We give that on Sunday afternoons from 12 to 1:30.
Yeah, where can people?
At Lotus Studio.
Lotus Studio, okay.
Yeah, Lotus Studio, 12 p.m. to 1:30.
And you have a DJ, right? That's so cool. I love that.
Different DJs, or we create set lists.
Okay.
We've done this for a while, so we always make beautiful, and we have live musicians now. The ecstatic dance is a way of being able to really just, like a dance gym, like a dance church. You can dance your prayers, you can sweat your prayers, you can move, you can make sounds, and no one's looking at, how good are they? You can leave the ego with the shoes, and when you go back up, pick your shoes up, you can put your ego back on. You know what I mean? So it's kind of freeing. There's no talking on the dance floor. You just get to really move your energy. You can focus on something and intend something and dance that, manifest it through the prayer of dance. When you make your prayer in the physical, it's more likely to be returned to you in the physical. So whether you're doing rock and roll dance or Zumba dancing, but ecstatic dance is more like a connecting to your spirit. It's not so much this move and then that move. Like ballet has a particular discipline. It's not really connecting fully into your own, channeling your own spirit.
Though so athletic. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love that you're a big advocate for dancing, and because I find it to be such a great...
move that spirit and soul.
Oh, yes.
And music and voice.
And I would say that is a way to ground and center, sort of like the topic here is...
Shed the old leaves. Shed the dead leaves. So you have room for new growth.
It's so lovely. I can't thank you enough for being here. This was so great. I've had so much fun talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here. Now let's just sign off with, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you or find you, and what do you have coming up that people can perhaps see you live?
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, number one, I have a website, and it is called EarthSpiritWisdom.com. Earth as in planet Earth. Spirit as in Holy Spirit, wisdom, earthspiritwisdom.com. And I have a phone number, for a public phone number people can reach me on, and that is 1-800-393-2037. 1-800-393-2037. And you can also reach me by email at info@earthspiritwisdom.com. And
where can we find your books? Are they on Amazon?
You can buy the book at Amazon.com. It's
great.
called Spirit of the Stones, and the subtitle is A Retrieval of Earth Wisdom. So it's Spirit of the Stones by Amalia Camateros, and you can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on
I'm sure off your website, right?
Oh, yes, on my website. And also I'm in the process of finishing it into an audio, so people can just listen to it while, as you said, washing dishes or driving the car. And I'm going to be giving the next teaching I know is happening in February at the Sedona Yoga Festival here in Sedona.
Oh, such a beautiful event.
Yes, I believe it's the 9th to the 12th
of February?
I think so.
Okay.
I've got to get the right dates, but SedonaYogaFestival.com, and I'll be teaching there then, and I'll be, I'm going to be producing blogs.
Do you do private sessions?
Yes.
I do
private sessions.
Okay.
You can reach me on those numbers. People come here and have little mini retreats with me, and we take them out in the land, or we give them internal, emotional clearing, or whatever it is. Whatever I have to give them at that time is what comes up. It comes up, I get told what to do, and I do that with that person. So personal sessions, counseling for couples, family, and grounding people on the land, making ceremonies on the land to really connect into their prayers with the earth and Father Sky, things like that.
It seems that your motto is helping people heal themselves. It's putting them in that position.
Yeah, no, I've always been. We learned that as naturopathic doctor. We're not going to be like the orthodox doctors where we give you a drug and then you become reliant on that, and then the problem that caused that pain isn't even redressed.
Right, it's just a Band-Aid.
It's just a real, not even a good Band-Aid.
And a dangerous one, right?
So always go to the source.
Right.
Always go to the source. Always go to the root cause.
Thank you so much again, Amalia, for being here, and thank you to our listeners.
Many blessings, everybody. Yes. We love you. Many blessings.
Absolutely.
Love yourself.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year, and we love you so much. God bless. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening to Heart on Radio.